So getting vaccinated will be part of living with COVID, as it is with other infectious diseases such as flu. And I just want to stress to the community that being up to date with your immunisations for COVID involves having that booster dose. So people should consider those 3 doses essential to being up to date with your vaccination. And for some, those with underlying conditions which suppress their immune system need actually to have 4 to be considered up to date. So please check what is right for you and get vaccinated. It's pleasing to see that we have 94% of people aged 16 plus having 2 doses of the COVID vaccine, but it's never too late. There are still people that are unvaccinated, and can I just stress that it is important that you start your journey, your vaccination journey, as soon as possible. Those 3 doses of vaccine afford the greatest protection. We're seeing a little bit of an uptick in the 12 to 15-year-old age group. It's got to 83.2% have had their first dose, but we really need to get that higher. We've achieved 95% double vaccination coverage roughly in a number of age groups, and I'd like to see that group lead the way as well. We've got 37.4% of children have had their first dose, and 40.8% of the eligible population have received the boosters, and I thank those people for coming forward. We currently have 2,663 people in hospital, including 182 people in ICU, of whom 73 are ventilated. We've had 13,524 positive test case results returned, and that includes 6,032 positive rapid antigen tests and 7,492 PCR tests. Now that 7,492 positive PCR tests were returned from 50,771 PCR tests. Sadly today we are reporting the deaths of 52 people with COVID, 33 men and 19 women, and can I echo the Premier's condolences to the families for their losses. Of the 52 people who died, 3 people were in their 60s, 11 people were in their 70s, 26 people were in their 80s, 11 were in their 90s, 1 was aged more than 100 years old. 31 of the 52 deaths were aged care residents, 21 died in aged care facilities, 31 died in hospital, and no one died at home. And of those 31 people, just 2 had received booster doses. 20 had received 2 doses of the vaccine, and 2 had received 1 dose, and 7 were not vaccinated. Again, reinforcing the importance of boosters. And 1 person who died aged under 65 was a gentleman in his 60s. He had received 2 doses of the vaccine and had significant underlying health conditions. I just also want to alert the community and the media to the fact that we will be changing and adjusting our cut-off periods on the first Tuesday, the 1st of February. So this means that the reporting period information will go from 8 p.m. close-off to a 4 p.m. close-off. Now the reason for that is we are transitioning our public reporting to allow our epidemiologists and surveillance officers and data analysts that have been working day and night to move into a more sustainable footing. This will also allow them to focus on some additional work in epidemiological reports and provide more granular detail that will support the community as we move forward with our COVID response. So I just wanted to acknowledge the efforts of all of those in New South Wales Health and the local health districts who have been working tirelessly to collect those feeds. So that small adjustment in the time will really allow us to focus our resources to doing that more value-added epidemiological work. I would also just like to know that there's been discussion about the BA2 variant, and just wanted to confirm that we have detected some of the BA2 variant, but there's likely to be more. So we've had 4 sequences identified as BA2. Just for clarity, this is a sort of sub-lineage, a sort of breakaway, a subvariant from the Omicron variant. We know that it is circulating in countries, and we've seen it grow significantly. So for instance, in Denmark, it's now the dominant over BA1, and we're seeing its prevalence, the proportion of BA1 grow in some other countries. So we think it might have some growth advantage over the BA1, the Omicron, the original Omicron. But at the moment we don't see that it's presenting anything different clinically in terms of the severity or its response to vaccines. But we'll obviously be watchful, monitor the situation closely. Also, we've been using, just to explain, we've been using the pathology tests that look for S gene dropout, but this variant actually retains its S gene, so that's why we need to wait for those special genomic sequencing to get a better handle on its distribution. So again, I would just also finally just like to go through the isolation procedures just to reinforce this with individuals. Can I thank everyone for their work in isolating after they've got a diagnosis of COVID. It is the one essential thing we can do. It is one of the most effective. When you've got COVID, you are infectious. You're most infectious just before you've got symptoms and for a period after, but that period may extend up to 7 days and beyond. But largely, your infectiousness declines rapidly after that bit before and after symptoms. So we are asking people to isolate for 7 days. If you don't have any symptoms at the end of the 7 days, then you're free to leave isolation. But we do ask that you just take special precautions in relation to not visiting aged care facilities or very high-risk settings for the next 3 days if you're able to. Or if you work in those facilities, please discuss with your manager of those facilities what extra precautions or what the organisation would prefer to do. So please remember it's 7 days with an additional 3 days if your symptoms have resolved. If you still have persistent symptoms, and the reason this is so difficult is that people sometimes have some persistent symptoms which are not related to being infectious, we ask you to just read our fact sheet, which is called Testing Positive for COVID, and talk to your doctor if you need further clarification about whether you're able to leave that isolation on day 7. Thank you.